The main reason why divining is making such progress at the present time is probably the work being done on maps, which is helping to dispel a delusion that under negation groundwater runs nearly straight in the earth. I have proved many times by means of my maps that this is not the case, and its course may be just as tortuous as it might have been were it on the surface. When I receive a map from the owner of a property, I first do the preliminary investigation with my eyes shut, as explained in a previous chapter. I then swing my pendulum over the map and allow it to do what it likes. I do not interfere with it in any way. I know that it will go first to the strongest stream on the map, because this will give off the most powerful emanation nations and therefore exert the greatest attraction on the pendulum. Then it behaves in a most extraordinary fashion. It first indicates a fairly straight line, showing the direction of the stream in the ground, which I outline in pencil on the map. Then it starts again, indicating all the meanderings of the stream, which will cross the original direction line a number of times. These meanderings are checked and rechecked for several days, and the actual course of the stream is then marked on the map while the original straight line is rubbed out to avoid confusion. Why the pendulum should first draw a ghost stream and then die real one is another mystery for which I can give no explanation. Every underground stream on the property is marked on the map in the same way in different colored inks. The first few streams are easy to draw, because their emanations are strong, but the smaller ones get more and more difficult with their diminution in volume. When the map is finished, it is returned to the owner of the property. I make no restrictions as where the owner should drill. He can pick any spot on the marked streams to suit himself. This means that every stream shown on the map, no matter how small and contorted, must be accurately drawn to the width of a pencil line. The map, marked with the boring sites chosen by the owner, is then given to a qualified surveyor, who pegs the spots accurately on the ground. Then the borer lakes over and, if the owner is wise, he will second that the drill is put down in the exact hole made by the surveyor's peg. As drillers are apt to have their own ideas as to where it will be easiest to work, and the result will, very likely, be a dry hole. When water has been found on a map, the diviner should always visit the property and check the chosen spots on the ground before boring is commenced, especially if it is granite country, for then water will be found only in fissures in the rock, which are often very narrow. Remember, the width of a pencil line on a map may make a difference of several inches on the ground. When working on the ground, I always prefer to be on the chosen area at sunrise. In summer this necessitates very early rising, especially if the property is far away from where I happen to be living, as I always believe in having something to cat before I start the day's business. After arriving on the ground where I am going to work, I find it necessary to wait for 25 or 30 minutes after sunrise before checking the spots marked on the map. For some reason, there is so much disturbance in the atmosphere immediately after the appearance of the sun that it is impossible to work with any degree of accuracy. In some countries, especially Australia, drillers will not work in granite country. They claim that water cannot be found in granite, as it is an impervious rock and goes down to the center of the earth. This may be true, but granite often cracks at 100 to 200 feet and excellent water can be obtained from the fissures. When I was working for the government in British Columbia, quite 80% of the supplies which I found for the settlers were in granite. Boring in granite is slow work, consequently expensive for the property owner, but the whaler is clear and delicious and well worth the cost when it is obtained. In Australia, many valuable sources of water are lost through this unjustified prejudice of the geologists and drillers. Diviners working in countries like Canada and Australia, where there are vast areas of undeveloped land, are usually mineral as well as water diviners. Divining for minerals opens up a vast field for study, experiment and hard work. Those diviners who have discovered that every mineral gives off a number of pulses, or bursts of energy as they are sometimes called, will realize the value of this knowledge when prospecting in new country. I work on the table shown in the description with this video. The diviner will find with coal that his tool will make 8 movements, generally circles, away from him and then make a short pause, followed by 8 movements towards him, followed by a longer pause. The same thing happens with oil, and sometimes tin, each giving their respective numbers. The diviner can check his findings by putting a small quantnegation titty of whatever he is seeking in a glass tube which he holds in his hands with his tool. This will give no reaction unless the sample corresponds with the deposit in the earth. Any experienced mineral diviner will have noticed how metals differ in their reactions. They almost seem to have personalities. Some are easy to work on and seem friendly. I would rather divine for tin than anything else because it makes me feel so light-hearted and exhilarated. But with oil I meet a wall of antagonism, and am conscious of it even 10 miles away. No matter how brightly the Sunday may be shining, I feel as if I were enveloped in a heavy fog, which grows thicker and thicker the nearer I approach the oil. But what I cannot touch, either on the map or on the ground, is pitchblende, the matrix of radium, or any other substance which is radioactive. I remember once in Canada being handed a small bottle by the curator of a museum which one took, with negation out looking at it, and went on talking. In a minute or two I was attacked by stabs of terrible scorching red-hot pain. The bottle contained pitchblende and, although the amount of radium in the ore must have been infinitesimal, the effect was quite terrifying. I often wonder whether diviners working on minerals realize with what enormous forces they are tampering. Fortunately, up to the present time, they have not been harnessed for destructive purposes by human beings, otherwise they might be an even bigger menace to life than the H-bomb. One of the strangest of minerals is mercury and the ore, cinnabar, from which it is obtained. In drawing a deposit of this on a map, it is all cubes and angles and queer geometrical shapes of varying sizes. If the diviner is very sensitive, he would be well advised to avoid divining for mercury, either on the ground or on a map. He would be dealing with a force which he might be unable to handle and which might make him seriously ill. Gold is a very difficult metal. It throws out 11 mirages which all give the correct reactions, though 10 of them are mere phantoms. This usually results in a failure for the diviner. Gold and diamonds are the practical jokers of the diviner's world and cause him much annoyance and many disappointments, perhaps to punish mankind for foolishly investing them with a fictitious value. End of part 27.